What's up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to a very special Brandon's Face interview. We are joined by Bob and Mike from Scars of Tomorrow, a band that we have both enjoyed the music of for quite some time. We're excited to have you guys on the show. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks, guys.
So, your music needs no introduction to Brandon and I, but for any of our listeners that may be unaware, let's just take it back to the beginning. When and how did you guys start making music together?
Mike, do you want to tell the story?
You guys were going a little bit before me, man. You go for it.
I know. Well, there was a period of time before Mike joined the band that my friend Carlos and I were making music with an old friend named Jon, who unfortunately passed away. But we were all working at this mall here in Orange County, and we were playing hard rock, metal, just we listened to a lot of different kinds of music, but that was kind of the core of what would become Scars of Tomorrow. And soon after, our friend Jeff started jamming with us, and we actually had a couple singers. It was Mike and his friend Dan, and we all kind of met up at the mall one day and decided to kind of do this as a team. Right, Mike? I think you guys were both hanging out together.
Yeah, him and I were
Walking
at
through
the
the
mall,
mall.
like hanging out every day. And he
Yeah.
was just like, I'm not doing it without you. And you guys didn't know me at all. So you guys were a little bit weary. You're like, who's this guy? But then, yeah, Dan's like, no, dude, we got to do it together. It'll be cool, And
Yeah.
So it was pretty organic then.
yeah, well, it definitely was.
And is that
Yeah,
kind of how
it's
like the
yeah.
first few projects came together?
There's a little bit more to it. There was a lot of like demos and garage demos. I say, this is
Yeah.
like the year 2000, maybe a little bit of 2001, and eventually Dan left, and it was just Mike who left, to sing. Obviously, we've been a one singer band. Anytime we release music, it's Mike. But yeah, that's really how it went. We tried all these different lineups of friends, here and there, different singers, but Mike was the one that stuck and felt the most organic. So we started with that probably 2000. So we put out our first demo, right, Mike?
Gotcha.
Like that, 4
Yeah.
songs. It was like this recording studio in Riverside, California, that we
Well,
did a
what's
lot
this
of our
called?
demos on. Love Juice
Love
Laboratories, I
juice.
think. Yeah, dude, what the fuck,
Thinking
man? You got
about
a
it
bunch of
now, I'm
kids.
like, yo, what the fuck, dude?
Yeah, you got kids going in there to record. Like,
That doesn't sound like a recording studio. Sounds like a
Yeah.
See, but like,
sounds-
dude, back in the day, we didn't even think about that name as anything like weird, And
We're
then
like,
now
it's
with like everything the way the world is, we're just like, oh
Oh,
shit, dude, what's going
yeah,
on there? What's diddling there?
yeah, right. That'd be a red dot on the map right there.
Stars are
That,
still alive,
but
bros, with the studio, but we just made fun of your
oh,
studio.
and the people who ran it was like Donna, I think, was the lady, and she was a sweetheart. She'd bring us out food, and
Yeah.
Metal Dan or something. He was the engineer, so I think it was just a clever name because they were like
Yeah.
the coolest people. And I forgot the name of the band that was the Battle of the Bands that we played, Mike. That like they kicked our ass and they ended up getting big. I think Rufio.
Oh,
So
interesting.
they
Yeah, I
were
remember Rufio.
it's like a
Gotcha.
pre-Yellow Card kind of band,
Yeah,
and
Dude, I haven't heard that band name in forever.
pop
No.
punk. I think that scene was like Finch, Rufio, out in the IE, Riverside. There wasn't as many bands, but we all played. We all had like mutual friends and groups and Parker kids, and so it's all family one way or another.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
is funny because John and I actually talked about it a little bit. We did a John and Brandon's Untitled Rock Show podcast where we talked about the scene back when we were back when we were kids and kind of going through all of the early 2000s stuff, and everybody used to play together. You'd have lineups with like hardcore bands and a pop punk band and a death metal band, and like it's so segmented nowadays, and it's
Oh
not
yeah.
this like mono scene. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that
Did
kind
you
of
guys have
sucks.
any like
But
jarring contrasts live in terms of bands you played with? Did you guys ever go on after just like a straight pop rock band into some metalcore?
I mean, Mike, all the time, right?
I
I
mean, yeah,
felt
we
like
did.
every show was like,
Yeah, I mean, like, dude, we did shows with the mic cam and stuff like that. And like, I mean,
Gotcha.
I know it's not the same what you just described. I mean, we've done just like completely like shows we shouldn't normally be on, as of today.
Yeah.
Deicide, that was a funny, weird one.
Oh gosh, yeah.
Did he have his fresh what is it, upside down cross that he branded
Yo,
into his forehead?
he was though. I don't, dude. I love that I don't care, and I'll talk shit now. So,
Please.
so that dude, the singer of that band,
Glenn Benton.
comes
Is that
out
his name?
fucking pissed off to all hell, calling our booking agent, trying to get us kicked off the show and everything, all because our guitar player took a fucking bottle of water. He took
Oh
off his
my
fucking
God.
cap, trying to show off his fucking branding. He's like, "Don't you know who I am?" We're like, "Not really, dude."
Was that the Arizona show where we
No,
went
we were
down
in New
into?
Mexico at Albuquerque.
Oh gosh.
And they just had that small back room downstairs. And Dave took the
Ah,
fucking water bottle. And that dude was like, "Don't you know who I am? Get the fuck out of here." He's like, "Bro, it's a water bottle. Get the fuck out of
yeah.
here." Like, didn't he try to get us kicked off the show for literally
Yeah,
one bottle of water?
he was losing. If that's the same, that's the guy with the cross embedded
Yeah,
in
Yeah,
his
and then he
that's
got
Glenn
mad that
Benton.
like
forehead.
he had like a
Yep.
good set and everything. Fucking, fuck that guy.
I mean, to be clear, I mean, I'm pretty sure if this is the same show, he ended up apologizing after though, because we like crushed it live, and he probably felt a little dumb.
Well, he
Yeah.
might have
And
to fucking Dave Rod, but I
I
just
don't
remember I was so
know,
pissed
he was
because
a tool.
we were dealing with that crazy booking agent at the time, and he had called me fucking losing his mind about it.
The
I mean, that
egos
stuff,
of the time.
egos, and I think in death metal, especially, there's like they feel protective of that genre. It's
There's a
very much
gatekeeping for
Oh,
for
sure.
a
we
bunch
definitely
of
didn't belong on that show. Like, like we
yeah.
brought people though.
In
Like, we got
fairness.
added to the show last minute, and we definitely brought people, and we had a crowd. It's like,
And we, respect you. I'm sure you said, hey, excited for Deicide next, and like we're supportive and respectful, but like I'm sure they're looking at us like we're a bunch of Hot Topic kids rolling in. Like, those kids, get off my lawn.
Yeah. Deicide had been doing their thing since the 80s, and
oh yeah, they're
I
old
can
Yeah.
school.
imagine they were protective of their scene. But I'm sure you guys fit right in. You guys don't
Yeah,
play a lot of death metal, but I'm sure you got the crowd going. I've
yeah.
never had the opportunity to see you guys, but I think John, you saw Scars of Tomorrow once, right?
A few times. So we can get into that a little bit later. I do have that in my notes. But like
Okay.
to touch on what you were just talking about in terms of like that era and the egos, you guys signed to like Victory Records around like 2003, 2004, right?
Yeah, it was like early. Well, yeah, because we had to. It was a little bit before that because we put it out in 2003, if I remember right. Our
So
first record with them, so we
Yeah.
had to have time to record and promote and all that beforehand. So yeah, it was like 2002, 2003.
yeah, so that's
Yeah.
right as the MySpace era, quote unquote, is coming into full effect, which is part of like there's always been gatekeeping and egos in music, but I feel like getting that much online validation for the first time, a lot of these artists, it just went straight to their head. What do you guys kind of remember about like the quote unquote MySpace era of music?
I mean, like, dude, that's ultimately, what made me want to stop touring and do it all finally.
Interesting.
Because, like, so we had some member changes, as anybody that's researched the band at all, knows, and I kind of kept it going longer, and it was actually what I want to say, like 2006. We had we were headlining a tour with Calico System, Inked in Blood, and we took out that band Drop Dead Gorgeous on their first tour,
Yeah, I saw you on that tour.
which was MySpace fucking, that's when all those MySpace 2005, 2006 is when all those MySpace bands that had their crazy profiles and all that were getting like, millions of plays on every song they put up. And it was this band's first tour. And I'm just like, dude, what is this? Blah, blah. Like, my manager's like, no, trust me, it's going to do well. It's going to do well. Just, take care of them, show them the ropes, this, and that. And I was like, dude, I don't want this. I was kind of anti at first, like
Sure.
this new era coming along. And I was like, that's, they didn't, prove themselves to be on this tour. Yeah. We go to our first show, there's 400 people there. They open up the show and 250 people leave. And I was like, what? I was like, and these kids didn't like physically like leave the show, go home and do whatever. It was a weird weekend.
Go outside to smoke.
They went outside to go crowd around the band's van.
Yep.
And there was, 200 people out there just wanting to like meet this MySpace band, and like because they were the coolest thing, because they were from online, like something, and like I'm just like, yo, what is this? They had looked way different than all the metalcore bands and all that we had been touring with, and I was like, oh man, I was like, it's starting, and everyone's like, what are you talking about? I was like, the change. I was like, the changing of the guards is going to start happening. Three, four more shows into it. We're doing 500-600 kids. All these promoters at first were stoked that these shows were doing so well. But dude, after the first band, more than half the crowd was leaving every night. And like, Calico System, great band. Inked in Blood was a great band. They had, their own following with the Face Down crowd and all that too, and it's just like, I'm like, how is this happening? I'm like, and I was like, you know what, dude? I was like, it's done. This is our last tour, I was like, I was like, I'm not touring full time after this anymore. I was like, it's this MySpace era. These younger kids are just fucking, getting these millions and millions of plays. And like, we weren't, when we signed a record deal, like we didn't, iTunes and DSPs weren't even around. So we weren't really thinking digitally. The only thing we thought about is like, hey, we need to go 200 or 300 days out of the year.
Yeah,
so
MySpace and Pure Volume were the digital back then, essentially.
Yeah,
that's actually how I found both Inked in Blood and Scars of Tomorrow on Pure Volume.
Yeah, dude, yeah.
Shout out Pure Volume.
I used to work there.
No shit.
Oh, really?
After I stopped touring, that was one of the first music industry jobs I took. Was Pure
Awesome.
Volume.
Yeah, and so, dude, I didn't want to be that band that just, I was able to finish completing, do what I wanted to do as far as what countries and all these different places I wanted to tour to, and I was like, I'm not gonna beat this anymore, it's done, and
that makes a lot of sense.
It was the MySpace era boom that made me not want to tour anymore, because we didn't jump in on it. We weren't, we got our stuff up there, and, we paid for the cool skins on the page and all that, and, ultimately got all that stuff. But it was just like, all the new bands were coming up, like Devil Wears Prada, Drop Dead Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Every other band of
the Rise Records crew of the time.
Yeah, dude, it was always, the Rise Records, Artery Foundation, and agency group. If you had that trifecta, you got big. Mice and Men, fucking.
Yeah, you guys toured with Catherine too, I believe, right?
Yeah, we took out Catherine too, and they did a tour with us in 36 Crazy Fest.
Yeah. I mean, all of these bands were just of that time for sure. I think that's very poetic that it was Drop Dead Gorgeous. I remember dragging a friend, not at that show, but at Warped Tour. I was like, you got to see this band, thinking the hype was real. And I remember him coming up to me afterwards and being like, that was the worst performance I've ever seen in my life.
No, and like, they were doing like $3 and $4 grand a night in merch on that tour as the opener, their first tour ever. And we still sold shirts for $12 a shirt then. And they were doing that stuff. So like they were, selling multiple shirts to each kid coming. And I'm just like, what? How? Like, we're going to sit here and do like $500-600 while, this opening band. So I was like, yeah, I'm done, dude. MySpace killed me.
but you guys did get to tour with some non MySpace bands or bands that kind of predate that. You guys toured with Norma Jean and stuff, for instance. I'm sure there were some highlights.
We had great tours, like, dude, like we definitely did some great tours. We did, Atreyu when they're at like the peak of the Curse era, and like they brought us out on a tour that was just like jam packed every night. Unearthed,
nuts.
Hatebreed, we did Hatebreed tour. Then like, both times I went over to Europe, we had like, they weren't that big of bands here, but we were bands from over there, they drew really well, and Himsa, Full Blown Chaos, like all these bands, like, ended up becoming our good friends. Evergreen Terrace, Caliban, like we definitely did some awesome touring, but it's just, it's grown so much more, like metalcore and metal and whatever subgenres you want to call it. It's just like a whole nother monster now.
Oh yeah. I mean, it sounds like you remember all the things you don't like about it. Is there anything you miss about being on the road that much?
Oh, I mean, I definitely, like, dude, there was like a lot more carefree. So we didn't have to worry about as much, man. Like, we just went out there and just like had fun, did our thing. Got to see all these different cities every day. eat Wendy's value meals every day.
Crucial.
Like, dude, I love
Yeah,
every moment. Like, dude, every moment of it was good. I mean, we learned a lot. Even like the bad times ended up becoming like very cool, like life lessons.
stories,
You know?
anecdotes. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I
Yeah,
mean, like, dude,
it
like, you
it
know,
helps you grow as a
instances
person,
that like
yeah.
it came up with like Chris Warner or like our drummer and Dave and Carlos and Bob. I mean, like, the best and worst times ended up becoming life lessons that ultimately made me a better human. Like, I can't complain about anything. And it's just, there was times where I didn't think about it at the time, but I could have been being the biggest asshole because of whatever I was, and other people too. But it's just like, hey, we learned how to treat people differently. We learned how to go about things differently. And it's just like,
Yeah.
dude, I'll never trade for anything in the world, man.
Yeah, it's like no matter where you come from, like we're like South, Orange County, California area, but it's like
Yeah,
when you're on the road, that's like it teaches you to be street smart, and you encounter any kind of situation and every kind of situation on the
Yeah, we
planet, every
do.
kind of person.
I
So like
bet.
when it comes to having a job or whatever, it's like you know how to work with people and you feel a little bit more thankful for the shit that you have, and you cultures and music genres, and you just like get exposed to everything by like jumping in the fire, right? Instead of like
Totally.
people go to school, they read a bunch of books, then they go to a job locally by their parents. It's like we've been everywhere, and it's like you could tell like the kind of people that have been in the military or have traveled for music or for traveled for work. It's like there's just a little bit more depth to like their life
The life
experience. You
experience.
could,
Yeah.
yeah, it's just like you've been there, man. Yeah, it's empathy. I think the word is like empathy towards all kinds of situations and people because you've been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So, as like a fan from the outside, as somebody that's not thinking about all of that when I'm going to see your band live, and I'm just looking forward to songs, what was your guys's for each of you? What was like your favorite song to play live from your catalog, if you had
Mm,
one?
not the hard ones. Carlos.
Yo, watch you burn.
To
Yeah, that
watch
was
you
a fun
burn?
one.
Yeah, the
That
opening track of that record, "A Rope Tied to the Trigger," that's still just like my favorite, like one of my favorite tracks we've ever did.
That's
Yeah, it's because you got to sing it. That's it. You didn't have to play that wacky ass riff, man.
Oh no, dude, I get it, dude. Like, you guys
It's
tested yourself on that record for sure.
I know, but it's
you
like there's
know,
certain riffs you can rock out to.
Yeah.
So I'd say like "Design Your Fate" is my favorite,
Oh fuck yeah. That's a
nice.
great
or
one.
I was
Yeah,
always partial to Abandonment on that record. I think it's
Yeah,
a track two.
yeah, that
another
Uh,
was one of
wacky
the ones we
riff.
definitely had to play every show. It was like
Yeah,
people knew that one for sure.
Yeah,
yeah,
it gets a response.
I think I found it on a Victory Records like compilation that they put out. I think I ordered an Atreyu album or something, and it came with the Atreyu album, and I remember
Yeah,
being
they used
like,
to
"Oh
either
my."
they would put that song on it and then "Suffocating Words."
Yep.
Interesting. That's really
isn't that
cool.
crazy? Yeah, I remember that with CDs, and it would be like a double disc, and on the
Yo,
back of the
Right.
sampler. And I'm
that
like,
just
I
means
don't
not a
want
problem,
that.
man.
Don't
That,
put me up with people's stuff in my Trey CD or Deftones CD, and it's like they didn't care. They just did it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Trust Kill did that a lot too.
yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
do you guys have any? Everybody has one, but I actually looked to hear your guys to see if you guys had any takes on or any experiences with Victory Records. I couldn't find any. Every band seems to have had a negative experience. What was your guys' experience with Victory in the early 2000s?
I mean, there's definitely a pretty public one with Atreyu
Yep.
and what Tony tried to get me to do to them.
Oh gosh, I remember
Remember that
that.
one, dude?
Yeah, I remember being across from that, not Bates Motel, but like that haunted hotel,
Dude, no,
and
that
we
was
were
the where Dahmer did his stuff, dude.
yeah,
Oh,
and you
In
were out in the parking
Milwaukee.
lot, and I remember you getting
What?
off the phone with Tony and telling me about this.
Yo,
I'll
so
never
we're gonna
forget.
have
so
to hear
so
this one, guys.
Treyu, like we've been friends with those dudes, in like the high school area and right afterwards. Like, we used to like go to like Coos Cafe and all these smaller Orange County venues together. And just like, we'd go hang out at Alex's fucking record store he worked at, shit like that. Like, we knew those dudes for a long time. And like they were rad, and they took us on a pretty big tour where they had lots of opening bands offering them ridiculous amounts of money to get on the tour, and they're like, "No, we're gonna bring our friends," you know. And they took us out, and it was really fucking rad of them. And we were on Victory, you know, and you know, just about to put out a record, you know, we were just about to finally be playing in Chicago. And, you know, Tony hits me up the day before, and, you know, he's just like, you know, I need you to kick the shit out of Alex from Atreyu for me. And I'm just like, what the fuck, dude? He's like, you want your record to do well? You want this? You want that? You want 30,000 scans? Like, dude, he did it like it is like mafia talk, dude. And he's like, you know, if we were in a jail together and people were coming after us and there's a knife on the ground, are you gonna pick that knife up and fucking stab me or stab all those motherfuckers with me? I'm just like, dude, I'm gonna stab you.
Oh my God.
So weird.
Like, I'm not about to, like, you know, sell out years and years of friendship, you know, and like start being mean to these dudes that have done nothing but great things for us, you know, and that have been like real friends, you know, like they were real friends. They weren't just like, oh, we're tour homies, you know, like they're friends, you know. And you know, I work with Dan now at this merch company that like I work for. Dan's one of the owners, you know, and you know, so it's like those friendships, you know, have definitely lasted, you know, the test of, you know, time versus my relationship with Victory.
Oh,
You know,
gosh.
so I mean, there was,
Yeah.
and then, you know, Alex, of course, you know, because I told Alex right away, he let Red Distribution know, and then put a very public statement out there that was all over Lambgoat and everything. He left my name out of it, you know, obviously,
Yeah.
you know, to, you know, not, but I mean, obviously, I mean, Tony was the butthurt one, but you know, he just wasn't going to put any bad press out there to me and anybody else.
That is wild. Holy shit.
It,
Yeah,
That's a
dude.
crazy
yeah.
story, man.
Yeah.
Dude.
I just remember we were in the office walking around, and you know, we always go to raid the warehouse and get free stuff, and like Tony's in his office and he like slams his phone down and he's like, "You're the fucking enemy." And like everybody in the office is like putting their head down, you know, like
Yeah.
it was like something you would see in like a TV show, like
Yeah.
Entourage,
Yeah.
Ari Gold.
Ari
And
stuff.
like, yeah, it's just like yells for Lloyd or something. And it's just like, I mean, he was always really cool to us. I mean, he's a little nutty, but a lot of entrepreneurs and people like that are. You kind of have to be
I
crazy
mean,
to run a
that dude knew how
company,
to
right?
sell records. I can never
Yeah,
take that away from him. That dude know how to do promotion. That dude could sell records better than like almost
I'm
anybody.
sure.
You know?
I mean,
Especially in an era where you
yeah,
didn't have the internet and the digital, or we had the internet, but not like, you know, the full digital spectrum that we have now, to where, you know, you
Yeah.
could do the Facebook and social media ads, and you have all this. Like, that dude had to
yeah,
do a fucking lot of work to pop his band.
yeah.
You
And it's
know?
like it's a different way of doing business, though, Mike. I'm sure you agree.
Oh
Like
yeah.
all the expenditures and all these different things. It's like we had no idea. Management had no idea. So we're like still in the red, and they sold their catalog to some other, you know, corporation or, you know, firm. And I think we got a statement. It's like we're in the red a lot. And I'm like, how did they even spend that much money on us? You know, but I don't think labels really work like that anymore. I think it's a little more transparent, right? Where so that, you know, is different. That's a kind of a different take on the whole Victory thing, where
Yeah.
I think they did indeed screw a lot of bands where, you know, financially they probably didn't do anything illegal to any of the bands, but like it wasn't ethical. And
Yeah.
Yeah,
but you
ethical and
know,
legal are
it's
two different words, you know?
yeah, it wasn't cool. And I'm like, you're billing us back for this sampler? I didn't want to be on that sampler. We didn't talk
Yeah.
about this. Or, you know, things like that.
Yeah, I remember hearing stories, and I can't say any of them are true, so I'll say they're alleged. But yeah, just like I think when Jamie's Elsewhere got signed, I was living in Sacramento around that time. I think it was like a 7 album contract, something ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
I
they were
remember
putting out contracts that you were never going to fulfill. You're going to be owing these people for your entire life. It's
Yeah.
good you guys avoided that level of
Yeah. It's
your
that would
your
be
stories seem
ridiculous.
more in line with what people expect a label to kind of do, or at
Yeah, I
least
mean,
the slamming on the
we had
phone
three
one.
records we ended up having to give them, you know, but that's fine.
Yeah.
So as Brandon said, I was fortunate enough to see you guys a couple of times live on that Drop Dead Gorgeous tour. I think you guys played the Boardwalk in Sacramento, but later on, I saw you guys in like 2007 with Bless the Fall and this local band some of my friends were in called Tear Down December at a venue called the Underground Cafe in Roseville.
Roseville.
Yeah, you remember it. So
Oh
I
yeah.
looked up the dates of these shows on Concert Archive just for my own memory. That is the last show you guys have logged on there before your hiatus. Do you
Uh-huh.
remember anything about that, or is that just like the last one logged on there?
Hmm. Who all
'Cause
was it with again?
it's you Bless the Fall and Tear Down December at the Underground Cafe is like logged as your last show in 2007 before like the return from hiatus.
Dude, I don't remember that one.
Yeah, yeah. Well, as somebody that was there, it was not like a, oh, this is their last show type of thing. I don't remember anything of that being in the crowd, but I might have been at one of your last shows before you went on hiatus. It
Well,
was a
because
good show.
like afterwards we came through with that on that Drop Dead Gorgeous tour, and we played Sacramento on that tour, but we were at the boardwalk for that one.
Yeah,
Mm.
yeah. I think you guys came through quite a bit, but it was always a fun time whenever I saw you
Yeah, our
guys.
management, like we used to work with Eric Rushing
Yep, and he
and
was at
Sean
pretty much every
Carano. They're
show.
all Sacramento dudes.
Yeah, yeah. It was very sadly a lot of those venues aren't there anymore. Underground cafes closed, Club Retro's closed, Boardwalk's long gone. I think it's Ace of Spades is the venue up there now. It's a
Yeah.
weird area. Um, Brandon, what were you gonna say just a minute ago?
I actually forgot. Oh, well, Victory Records, just to kind of I guess reiterate what Bob was saying. Victory Records was definitely ubiquitous in the scene back then. So it's no surprise that, you know, all those bands ended up a few bands ended up having a really bad time with them.
Oh
Uh,
yeah. Yeah, you guys did what, 3 albums in 3 years, right?
yeah, then we have yeah, and then I did some random shit, and then
I mean, you
yeah.
had to be in a creative groove, but I imagine that was exhausting at the same time.
I mean, we didn't care, man. We were having the times of our lives at the time, you know, like but and then we weren't, see, when we were first going to, we weren't thinking about like all the big money that all the bands are thinking about now. I mean, it was different. It's like it's hard for me to explain, but it was different. We weren't like, hey, we're gonna get these huge tours, be this big band and sell tons and tons of stuff and et cetera, et cetera. It was a little bit different at first for us.
Yeah.
Um,
I imagine it's quite a grind to do that, you know, like bands that go into it with that mindset, or even eventually adopting that mindset, have to grind for that, you know.
well, it's kind of just like what ended up getting handed to them. I mean, that era, that MySpace era, and afterwards, man, like all those bands, none of those bands were managerless. Every manager was going to MySpace to go find their bands that they were going to pick, and they were going to blow them up and get them on Warp Tour and do this and this.
Yep.
That was the era, because like Warp Tour was taking all those bands, and helping blow them up. So it's like, the whole thought process wasn't like, oh, we're gonna let this band go grind it out for a couple of years on the road, and maybe we'll take them on. It's just like, no, this band's gonna be huge. We're gonna take them now. We're gonna get them while they're fucking young.
Yep.
Um,
Lock them in.
So weird. So
Get them
different.
to sign a
So different.
7 album contract when they're 16.
yeah, dude,
Leave Jamie's
that's
elsewhere alone.
those dudes. Like, I used to work with that band Our Last Night. And the singer was like 14 when he started touring.
That's
Yep.
crazy. That's insane.
Yeah, dude. It's just like, and then a lot. I mean, like, dude, like when I was like working with Chelsea Grin, managing them, like those dudes were just finishing high school when they were like getting on their first tours.
It feels like everyone's getting younger and we do this every week. We cover new music and there's some artists we cover that and it's just like the amount of like young one-man projects. It's through the roof now, just like the level of insanity that these people at like 14 are not only putting out albums but touring as well. It's pretty
I mean,
insane.
because they have so much more access to like recording equipment
Right.
and all these different things, and
Crazy.
it's just like they get like they never had to have the troubles having a 4-track recorder for your first demo, trying to get shows. Your
Making me
garage
feel
recording with
old.
phones in the middle of the fucking room.
Yeah.
Like they get a lot different experience.
I
For
actually
sure.
have
It's
I actually have a
yeah.
Boss 4-track recorder in my garage right now. You guys want to record a demo?
I'll
Let's
be
do
there.
it.
Relive the past right there, dude.
You got to be good at your instruments, man. It's like if you weren't good and you didn't know your parts, the demo sounded terrible. I mean, demos sounded terrible anyways back then, but you could tell who was really. If the demo sounded good, that means you were good live.
Or you just
True,
make black
true.
metal and the bad music sounds good.
Yeah, it's all
Yeah, but you
tinny
would be
and
able to
high
tell by the
pitch.
kick drum, dude. The kick drum would
Right.
always tell the truth, you know?
So true, man. And you guys actually, like, in terms of your arch, like, you did kind of get on Victory and stuff around the rise of the MySpace era, but you guys were around and making music before that big boom. So yeah, I imagine by the time like 2006, 2007 came around and you're seeing where shows are going from everyone staying in there having a good time through the headliner to people just leaving to go try and see the celebrity of a band outside by like that time in 2007 2008 where the scene was very much commodified and on MTV and all of this, what like officially made you guys go, this is it, we're kind of done until we say otherwise?
I mean, it was just like, it was a new era, you know? And I mean, it's like and the rest of the core members of the band had left before that, because they were just like, hey, they were ready to go on different parts of our life, And, it's just like there was a change, and it's just like I felt like we were you know not there when that change was happening, and you could just see that there's this whole new era of like bands that people want to see and just different styles, and it was much more than just, hey, are you in a fucking, can you play your instruments good, can you write good songs, there's a whole style and image and the whole scenes through image, and like, I mean, I didn't really
Yeah.
conform to any of that, so it's just like, I almost felt like we didn't belong anymore.
Just say you didn't want to swoop your hair to one side, Mike. It's okay.
I mean, I did a little bit, but I mean, I'm a bigger dude playing metal, metal music. The rest of the guys pulled off the look great, dude, but like I couldn't, dude. I didn't pull it off.
I hate that there
I mean,
even was a look, but there definitely was at
I
the
think
The
time.
shotgun blast haircuts, fucking all that shit.
I mean, I think with hardcore though, it's like it hurt us at that phase only because now we're
Yeah.
kind of back to the way things were with bands like Knock Loose, where it's like just
Yeah.
don't look like you just got out of bed, like wear some basketball shorts and a shirt and look kind of cool, but don't look like you're in BTS. It's kind of,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it's more about the music and the singer like commanding the crowd, and like hardcore's cool again. But everything comes. But we were like, we knew it was like when hair metal got killed by grunge. It's
Yeah.
like emo,
Right.
post-hardcore killed hardcore bands having a lot of success, because that fell out of style. And now it's back.
That's really
But
interesting.
we had to make a choice, and it's like we didn't know what was coming. We were just
But
kind of
dude,
like,
I just remembered another one. We had
What's that?
played in Detroit. This lady opened up a venue called MySpace Internet Cafe. That was another reason why I was.
Oh boy.
Yeah, it was in. I think it was it in Roseville, Michigan? Yeah, it was outside Detroit, and it was the first time we ever saw that band Alisana. And they were part of that whole. And like they were huge when they had first started around that time. And I'd seen them, and I was like, "Oh, yep, there it is." That's why what I was saying.
and
MySpace.
and
we're even playing a place called MySpace Internet Cafe.
and that's my fault. I was their publicist at the time, so because I worked
You
at
booked
Fearless
that one?
Records. Well, like Mike had continued Scars, and you probably saw Alisana, but I was working at Fearless Records, and I just walked in the door. I'm like, you guys need to hire me. I need to work in the industry. And Alisana was actually one of my first PR projects I ever did.
Interesting.
And it was like the one with like they're singing in the garden, and I mean, you look at it now, it's kind of fucking cringy. I'm not gonna lie, but it's cool because we were there.
The whole time was cringy, man.
Oh, it was so cringy. I mean, yeah,
Sweetest
we all
dudes.
did.
I just didn't like the music, man. Like those are some of the nicest dudes we ever toured. With.
Music was great.
But like I couldn't do the high pitch fucking whiny. Like I just wasn't my thing.
I mean, yeah, that's
respect the hell out of them, but yeah, not my thing.
Sure.
Well, I think that brings me to wonder, what do you guys think of the metalcore scene today?
I mean, there's certain bands I just think are absolutely amazing. Like that band Throne. Have you heard them yet?
I
What was
don't
the
think I
band?
feel like
have.
I have.
Throne.
Throne.
Throne. I have not. No.
Yeah, it's not like as in like the chair throne, but like Throne, THROW, and they are sick. Dude, I love like that new Wage War, the new Fit for a King.
Yeah.
Like, you know,
Oh, yeah.
those newer records that they're doing are incredible.
Yeah.
You know, like
Metalcore, hardcore is doing well, and I think people are respectively enjoying a lot. Like their plate is filled with a lot of different metal right
dude,
now, and
even
it's
like Motionless
okay.
White at times reminds me of Old Bleeding Through. And
Yeah.
there's just like they're
Interesting.
crushing it, you know. It's like, dude, there's some good solid bands out there now. Even when they did do the, you know, they're doing the full marketable, you know, metalcore now, but you know, they still have some of their roots in there. And it's like, dude, it's some of the stuff's fucking really good, man. Even dude, I
All
love
right.
that Ghost Inside is killing it again, you know, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
They are indeed. I just went
What?
to Mayhem Festival out here in San Bernardino this last, I think, what was it, the summer, something like that,
yeah.
or October. It was October, and yeah, metalcore's alive and well, especially in SoCal, man. That there was a lot of people there, and
Well,
Bad
dude,
Omens headlined. They're not my cup of tea, but I
no,
finally got
dude,
to see
Bad Omens,
Unearth. You
like
know,
Bad Omens the last 4 years has done like the ultimate glow up, dude. Like
they've been crushing
I
it.
went
Yeah.
I went to like one of their shows in 2019 in Florida when I was living there for like a year and a half at this place called the Back Booth, which holds like 150 people, and like it was like half full. And you know, like dude, I was like, yeah, they're good, man, they're good. And then just like, dude, like right there, like right when that COVID time hit, dude, like they just got some stuff that went viral and people just saw how good they finally, you know, were with
Mm-hmm.
what they do. And like, dude, like that band is just like it's seeing them at some of the smallest venues and used to be pretty close with their manager, you know. I was like, dude, I don't know if the band's gonna pop. And I put them on tours with some of my bands, like 'cause I was, you know, managing a bunch of metalcore acts after I was done touring. And I was like, yeah, I just don't know the band's gonna do it now. Like one of the biggest bands of the genre, you know, it's like them, Bring Me, and Sleep Token are just
Mm-hmm.
taking everybody
Crushing it.
apart.
Yeah.
Never heard of them. I'm just kidding.
You know, I was apprehensive that they could headline them. It was at the
Dude,
San Manuel Amphitheater, and that's a big stage, right? And I
Well, because
was
they
like, I
played over
was
Parkway Drive too, didn't they?
they yeah, Parkway Drive crushed it, obviously.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, they headlined over Parkway, and it was they put on a headlining performance. Like I again, their music might not be
crazy.
like my total thing, but they really impressed me on a live level, and it was great, man.
What's
So
going on
you
with that band, Loathe, by the way, Mike?
Yeah, they're
Like,
pretty
'cause I
fast
thought it
too.
was Loathe and then Sleep Token, right? They were kind of like in the same thing, and then Sleep Token just took off. But it's like I want Loathe to win, man. I
Sleep
love that
Token's
last
everywhere
album.
right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
those are cool.
And you know, I think I think we're gonna see something big with metalcore in the future. I mean, Knocked Loose just played fucking Jimmy Kimmel. That's
it's
huge, you
crazy.
know, and it's wild, you know, and that's really cool for I think the scene and the genre as a whole, regardless of what direction it ends up taking. But Knocked Loose
Mhm.
never really toned down their heavy, you know, like a lot of other bands admittedly do, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I was dude. The one thing about that I was bummed on is like, I mean, the song's good, but the song that basically like made the internet sweep with Knocked Loose was the one with Poppy on it. And it's just like, yo, dude, like there's distracting, you know, the attention that should have been strictly to Knocked Loose, you know, spreading it out. And I was like, dude, they have so many of the songs. I wish they would have, you know, made one of those like the standout track for that Jimmy Kimmel show. But
They
We
needed the
just did
crowd to
our
go arf arf really quick.
arf arf needed some arf arfs.
it's their brand, man. It works. It's
It's a
stuck in
hell
your
of a
head.
brand. So you guys you guys have kind of benefited from not just being around for that the mid 2000s MySpace metalcore scene, but like you guys came back in the 2010s. Like what was it like being in kind of a different era but releasing new music?
I was just me just trying to have fun.
Yeah?
Yeah. And well, it's like, you know, we're talking about doing it again too, you know, like we've been, you know, and we're talking about maybe re-recording or putting out some vinyl or older stuff, you know. It's just anything that's done now with the band is strictly for fun and just like our
That's
passion
awesome.
for the music, you know. I mean, Bob and the other guys have been in way more projects since the end of the band, you know, than I have, which is really cool. You know, and it kind of shows like, you know, the talent that those guys had. You know, they have some really cool projects out right now. And you know, even Dave Rod, he's singing in the band. That, you know, when I heard the stuff, it was pretty cool. But, you know, anything we do with Scars, that's just out of pure fun and just passion and wanting to hang out with our bros again, you know?
I think that
so
comes
nothing's
through
off the table. That's cool.
I think that all comes through like in the music as well. Like you know, when people are just getting into metalcore and they ask what albums they should listen to, A Rope Tied to the Trigger is one of the ones that I always recommend because of clearly how much passion you guys had for the music. There was no it's just straight passion, and I think you guys having fun is something that will probably create a little bit of magic, which is kind of how Bob and I ended up connecting on Reddit when he replied to my comment. I said, you know, you guys should definitely record something new because I would love to hear it. You know,
Yeah, no, like we put out the latest song that we did, you know, Bob had, you know, got all the music together for it, you know, and I was like, dude, this is cool. Like this feels rad, you know, and it was, you know, a little bit different sounding than some of our other stuff, but it was fun to do together, man. And like, you know, I'd love to do more of that, you know, and would never get back into the grind of trying to, you know, do what the bands are doing now. But, you know, just being able to do it for fun and the passion again, and like, you know, just brings back that fun time in my life, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I would love to see you guys live again. I think there's a lot of people that might be discovering your music now that did not get the chance to. So any
Well, because like the whole
opportunities for
early
that are
2000s
awesome.
metalcore sound is huge again.
Yeah, it's all come back around. And
coming
like you
back.
guys were saying, fashion wise, like if you look at all these Furnace Fest highlights, like it's a completely different era now than it was. Phones are never going away, but that hardcore and metalcore community feels more into the music now more than ever. They're still not
Yeah.
buying records, so it's good that you're
Yeah.
saying everything with this project will be, you know, just for fun and whatever you guys want to do. Because the streaming era just fucking sucks, but it's really cool when
Well, yeah,
bands.
to do a million streams and barely make like $3,000 is not cool.
Crazy.
No, but hopefully if you guys
No.
do like a vinyl or a show, you get your fair cut of that. I'm sure the people are wanting it because I know Brandon and I do for sure.
Yeah,
Right.
we're talking about it. You know, we'll have some fun.
Hell yeah. Uh,
Yeah, I think
anything else,
piece
Brandon?
that together.
Yeah, I really hope you guys do it. I'm dying to know. John and I just actually wrapped up our end of the year for 2024. So with our albums of the year, and I'm curious what Bob, what's your album of the year this year, and Mike, what's yours for 2024? That is.
That new Kubla Khan record's pretty fucking hard.
Great pick.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Oh
that's probably
man,
mine.
maybe in the heavy realm of music. So I listen to a lot of different stuff. Maybe High on Fire,
You can
Cometh
say
the
Brat.
Storm.
It's okay. We like Brat.
Yeah,
Charlie
we cover.
XCX.
Yeah, we cover all of the genres. Sometimes I throw John a curveball and throw like some fucking jazz onto our playlist that rotates out every week. So
We cover
yeah,
everything.
Yes, love jazz.
that High on Fire album was really good this year. We really liked it. But you know, we had such a it was in the heavy in the metal space this year. It was kind of crazy, and it was very there was you know when I was kind of ranking trying to
So
find
much
my
good music.
favorites, it was yeah it was incredibly difficult. You know.
A
Well,
lot of good
thank you
rock
guys.
metal. Yeah.
Thank you guys for coming on the podcast. We had a great time talking with you. We hope to see some new Scars of Tomorrow news somewhere out there. But regardless, people should definitely check you guys out. You can find their music on streaming. You can also find them on social media. Just search Scars of Tomorrow. Give them a follow. We'll see you guys later. Peace.
Have a good night.